Sarawak Energy Berhad is the sole energy generation, distribution and transmission of electricity for Sarawak. Before it became this one giant company, it came from a humble beginnings. Initially, it was called Sarawak Electrical Supply Company, SESCO, by the Brooke administration in 1932. Afterwards, due to Sarawak Electricity Supply Ordinance 1962, Sarawak Electrical Supply Company (SESCO) was dissolved and changed into Sarawak Electricity Supply Corporation (SESCO) with the capital O. In 2005, SESCO was privatized and bought over by Sarawak Energy Berhad. Since then, Sarawak Energy Berhad has contributed greatly to the state of Sarawak both economically and socially. In this era of data without border, it is known that a single action taken can impact the whole system with how fast information are flowing. It is vital that study is taken to determine how the growth of energy sector factors into the global scenario. Sustainable growth is important as it brings value to future generation, and hoping this study can shed a little light on the balance between the demand for development and the responsibility to protect the natural environment. Also, the island of Borneo, Sarawak, has a large amount of natural resources that is yet to be fully utilized as efficiently as possible. For Malaysia to become a high-income nation, it is imperative to study in detail the advantages and disadvantages of the rapid growth that the growing energy sector in Sarawak brings to the table. The objective of our project is to study and understand the energy sector in Sarawak. Next, to determine the importance of mega project to Sarawak. And finally, to discuss on hydropower development as the growth factor in global scenario.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Luqman Hakim bin Fouad. My metric number is 58691. Today I will present literature review. Biodiversity is including flora and fauna, and we must keep this place for future references. Sarawak is one of the world mega diversity region. Although it is endowed with a lot of commodities such as coal, gas and oil, it can be used to provide energy and power to the economy of a country. Sarawak is a rich and wealthiest mineral state in Malaysia with approximately have 1.2 billion barrels of oil and gas. Due to rapid growth, if without proper preparation, is it enough to support domestic production? Then Sarawak is looking for more energy resources, which is biomass, wind energy, solar energy and hydropower. Biomass is a natural green or promising energy. There are three types of green energy, which is waste that include agriculture production waste, crop residue, urban organic waste and mild wood waste. The second one is forest product, which include the wood trees, lodging residue, bark and sawdust. After that is the energy crops, which is the starch crop, sugar crop, oilseed crops and grass. Unlike the Peninsula and Borneo, Sarawak is still developing payment mechanism for production and distribution of electricity generated from biomass. It is because high logistical costs to connect renewable energy to generate mills to centralized power grid. Currently, distribution of power generation from biomass is suggested to be co-localized. It is to supply the mills or plants on energy needs such as running the boilers and day-to-day operation. It also to provide electricity to the surrounding rural communities. These are the table for the electrical potential from selected biomass in Sarawak. As we can see, there are 425 megawatt, and the other side is the table for the total power output from the palm oil biomass until 2020, and we can see that the total capacity is projected up until 51% from 2015 to 2020. Malaysia were the tropical environment that has been constantly high temperature, abundant sunshine and solar radiation, but also with heavy rainfall and high relative humidity. How we can capture the wind to convert the electricity? We can use the windmill. So the wind energy we produce by wind current which present at atmosphere. Then we use the windmill or the wind turbine to capture and rotate the windmill, and it will give the mechanical energy. From mechanical energy, we can turn it into electricity by using the generator. So we can use that windmill to provide electricity. And as we can see, the wind resources in Sarawak is relatively poor, except for the coastal area, which give higher constant velocity than inland areas, and the windmill can be produced to provide the electricity to the rural communities as they live only 100 miles within the coast. Next is solar. Malaysia is strategically located next to the equator with the highest potential for solar uptake. Solar and generation capacity can measure at up to 3,500 megawatts. Large-scale solar and rooftop solar are the ideal solution for solar use in Malaysia. Sarawak, on the other hand, lies at the northwestern side of Borneo and experiences a climate same as Sabah, with slightly less rainfall. For example, from June to August is when Sarawak has the least rainfall, while December to March is when it most wet. Due to the monsoon, application of solar energy in Sarawak is not reasonable.
Continue on for the literature review. Besides biomass, wind, and solar energy sources, there is also hydropower energy source in Sarawak. Hydropower is the hydropower technology of electricity generation. A reservoir, which is generally constructed by a dam, can be used to harness the energy of falling water, or the kinetic energy of the water can be used like in hydroelectricity from the river. Compared with other forms of electricity generation, hydropower has the huge benefit of reducing fuel costs. According to the annual volume of Bloomberg New Energy Finance Sustainable Energy Handbook in 2030, natural gas, coal, nuclear and hydropower remains the cheapest energy sources, with hydropower being the only renewable energy coming from the lot. The cost of operating a hydroelectric plant is almost resistant to the cost increase in fossil fuels such as gasoline, natural gas or coal. Hydroelectric power plants also enjoy long economic lives, with some plants still in service after 50 to 100 years, as well as low operational labor costs, as the plants are automated and have few on-site workers during regular operation. Where a dam serves many purposes, it is possible to build a hydroelectric plant with low construction costs, creating a valuable revenue source to cover the dam maintenance costs. Although several hydroelectric projects have public power networks, others are designed to serve industrial enterprises. The economics of hydropower. Hydropower is the cheapest source of electricity generation today. It is cheap to generate electricity from hydropower, since once a dam has been constructed and the equipment has been installed, the water flowing from the energy source is safe. The reason hydro plants generate cheap power is because of their sturdy structures and simple machinery. Hydro plants are efficient and long-lived and have low maintenance costs relative to coal or nuclear power plants. Other than that, there is one factor that could in fact raise the cost of hydropower, which is the procedure for building a dam has become a lengthy and expensive operation. There are also environmental impact studies that need to be carried out, and often as many as 13 federal and state agencies are expected to be consulted. it just takes 5 to 7 years to get a license to build a dam anywhere. The hydropower and its relationship to the environment. Wildlife and natural resources can be killed or damaged by damming rivers. For one, fish may not be able to swim upstream anymore. Hydroplant operations may also impact the consistency of the water by churning up dissolved metals that industry might have deposited long ago. Hydroplant operations can increase silting, alter water temperatures, and reduce the dissolved oxygen levels. Such issues can be handled to some degree by building fish ladders, dredging silt, and carefully managing the operations of the plant. On the plus hand, fuel supply, which is the flowing water itself from the hydropower, is saved and is replaced annually by either snow or rainfall. Hydro plants, unlike fossil fuel plants, release no emissions into the air because they do not burn any coal. Hydropower is also the only energy source that offers a whole range of added benefits, such as dams control floodwaters and reservoirs provide lakes for boating, fishing, and swimming.
Greetings. My name is Gloria Elaine John, metric number 58623. Sarawak, located along the northern coast of the island of Borneo, is blessed with abundant rainfall and one of the country's densest river networks. The average rainfall is between 3,300 mm and 4,600 mm per year. According to the state government, which surveyed a number of potential major hydro sites in Sarawak, there is a potential capacity of at least 20,000 MW in the state. Sarawak Corridor of Renewable Energy score. It is a corridor in central Sarawak, which is a state-driven development strategy that harnesses Sarawak's abundant hydropower potential to provide affordable, reliable, and renewable energy. It is also a centerpiece of Sarawak's plan for economic growth and development, for it has ambitious plans to develop numbers of dams. SCORES has 5 strategies of energy development. Firstly, to attract investment from 10 key industries to take advantage of surplus hydroelectric capacity. Secondly, to create a network of transportation and communication nodes between the industries via roads or establishments of telecommunication infrastructure. Third, to extend those industries as more hydroelectric dams come online, offering comparatively cheap electricity. Fourthly, to accelerate human capital and skill development, tapping the knowledge of an expatriate workforce. Lastly, to develop tourism, especially within the legs of the dam and along the beaches of the corridor. Sarawak's energy interconnection projects in global scenario. Given Sarawak's budding power generation potential and the appeal of the cost competitiveness and sustainability of hydropower, the state government is in the midst of securing power exchange agreements with neighboring states and countries such as Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah, Brunei Darussalam, and Indonesia. Sarawak Energy has been exporting power to West Kalimantan, Indonesia since January 2016. A deal to provide between a 50 MW and 230 MW of electricity was reached. Next, Brunei Darussalam and Sabah Malaysia agreed to the power exchange agreements. Thus, there is less urgency to finalize the deal. The benefits of interconnection projects are shown in Table 1. Firstly, interconnections provide the least cost option for importing countries, resulting in lower electricity prices. For example, under the Sarawak West Kalimantan Power Trade, the average cost of power generation of Perusahaan Listrik Negara (PLN) in Kalimantan is $0.25 per kilowatt-hour, while the price of power supplied under the trade agreement is $0.1 per kilowatt-hour, and Sarawak as the power exporter has the lowest average power generation cost. Secondly, interconnection improves efficiency and reduces the average cost of generation. Kalimantan Indonesia and Sabah Malaysia are currently using smaller and older diesel units for power generation. Interconnection will aggregate demand, thus allowing utilities to invest in much bigger and more efficient systems. Lastly, interconnection lowers reserve requirement. For example, isolated utilities often require from 30% to 40% operating reserves, while a well-interconnected grid requires only around 15%. Peak energy demand forecast. Table 2 shows the electricity peak demand forecast for 2022. The Northern Borneo, consisting of the Malaysian states of Sabah and Sarawak, as well as Brunei Darussalam, has peak demand almost 3 times higher than those of Indonesian provinces in Kalimantan. On the other hand, Mindano's peak demand in the Philippines is comparable in volume to the key market of Sarawak, Sabah, and Kalimantan. Economic growth in Sarawak. As the strategy to accomplishing high-income economy status, Sarawak is focusing more on low-cost electricity to attract manufacturing and industries. Against this context, the state aspires first to construct and complete the Borneo power grid connecting Brunei, Sabah, Indonesia to its massive hydroelectricity output, complemented by others in Kalimantan, Indonesia, with the potential to export power to West Malaysia, Palawan in Philippines, and Java in the future. According to the SCORE plan, hydropower capacity will be increased to 20,000 MW by 2030. Sarawak will export approximately 5,000 MW of power in the medium term to Peninsular Malaysia via 500 kV high voltage direct current overhead and undersea cables by 2020 and additional 5,000 MW by 2030. Thus, the hydropower share will increase from 5% to 35% in 2030, whereas the share from gas-fired plant will decrease from 60% to 30%. Sarawak's challenges to export energy in global scenario. The challenges faced are divided into several categories. Firstly, technical, which includes lack of supporting infrastructure, excavation, and construction skill manpower. Secondly, economic, which include capital costs or cost overrun financing. Third, political, which include inadequate planning or corruption and nepotism. Next, legal and regulatory, which include restrictive land court or changing of land court. Fifth, social, which include community relocation and resettlement. And lastly, environmental, which include land clearing or deforestation and greenhouse emissions.
For conclusion, Sarawak is Malaysia's state with abundance of resources such as crude oil, natural gas, biomass, solar and hydropower. It is slowly transitioning to usage of sustainable energy such as the hydropower and solar energy to reduce carbon footprint. However, hydropower is more desirable compared to solar power due to its ability to provide power all year round. Sarawak is also a prime candidate in leading the charge in providing its excess renewable energy to neighboring countries such as Brunei and Indonesia. Sarawak power purchase agreements with neighboring countries such as Brunei will benefit both countries economically. As the needs of energy consumption increases, the need to increase the number of dams will also increase. Although there are disadvantages in building more hydropower dams, it is important for all parties from government, non-government agencies and public to work hand in hand in tackling this problem by finding the middle ground that benefits all parties. Sarawak should also strive to improve the development of hydropower because it is a key driver in the growth of human development and economy, so it can help in fulfilling global energy demand.